So I played one of the best Stalker story mods, expecting crashes, bugs and suffering. Instead, I got a working game. And what a game it is. Spatial Anomaly is a #1 Stalker story mod, and it's going against some really strong competition. I'll review those in the future as well. One of the best things about this mod is that you've got 2 ways to play it. You can either add it to Steam or just grab the standalone version. I'll show you how to set up both, but just so you know, my full playthrough was done on the standalone version. I did test the Steam version though, and yeah, it works perfectly fine. And since there's a standalone version, it means we've got ourselves another awesome free game. I really don't mind paying for internet these days. Standalone version says that you should not install it on a C drive, where your Windows resides, so it might not be your option if you've only got one drive. Now before you ask, yes, this is a Stalker mod, but no, it doesn't crash. I was alt-tabbing throughout the whole playthrough and it didn't crash once, which is actually kinda funny, because I played the Russian version less than a year ago and that one did crash a few times. But the English version, solid. Still, I do recommend making save backups. I'll show you exactly where the save files are later in the installation guide. Even though this is a story-focused mod, it's still very much classic Stalker. Unlike something like SFZ Project Episode 0, where action is pretty rare, here you will be fighting. It's not a Michael Bay movie, but there's definitely enough action to keep things engaging and make you constantly prepare for what's coming next. Spatial Anomaly is built on Call of Pripyat, so you're getting the same interface, repair system and minimap. Weapon logic is shifted into realism. The guns hit harder and armor doesn't protect you that well from bullets. Interestingly though, anomalies feel a bit more forgiving. But the zone makes up for that with emissions and 2 new hazards. Radioactive and chemical fallout. These can start suddenly, radiation spikes, acid rain, out of nowhere. You'll get a new objective on your PDA, find shelter and survive until it ends. Or just ignore it completely if your artifacts can handle it. And speaking of that, artifacts are completely reworked. All of them, except for Kolobok, but you'll give it away since it's not really good and it's a quest artifact. But the rest? They're actually very strong. Most of them don't even have negative effects, which is a huge deal. The visuals are dope. Pale, foggy and dark. They fit the atmosphere perfectly. You'll also run into some familiar names from the original, either in person or just in conversation, like Wolf and Sidorovich. But for the most part, it's a completely new cast. You can play this mod even if you're a Stalker novice. Let's say you've tried Stalker before and didn't like it that much. This is still worth checking out. The atmosphere feels completely different, and the riding is easily 10 times more engaging. Let me tell you a bit about what's going on in the game without major spoilers. I'll also add a few tips along the way. The game starts with the campfire scene. Our main character tells us, in order to continue, you have to start anew. He's a mercenary, and his call sign is Beast, and he's gonna tell us a story. The screen goes black and we appear in front of some kind of building, where a figure in bandit coat moves towards us, emitting some kind of yellow smoke. When it comes closer, we can see it's a bloodsucker. Once it approaches us, the screen goes black again and we hear a mocking laughter. We wake up in a barn, very similar to the mill on Cardon. There's a group of stalkers inside. One of them, Savage, fills us in. We survived the blowout, but now we are trapped inside a spatial anomaly. Here's how it works. No matter where you go, you always end up back at the barn. The whole area is surrounded by invisible teleports. Savage and one other guy have been stuck here for 7 months, others from 1 to 3 months. Part of our equipment is lost and haven't been retrieved. Before we can process that, radio call. A guy named Gonta, who brought us here, reports incoming zombified stalkers. And since we're the most experienced, best equipped and apparently owe him a favor, we're up. A bunch of brain-dead ex-dutyers are no match for an experienced mercenary, so we end those guys quickly and get our first loot. An AK, some ammo and meds, basic stuff. One of them has a note. Turns out they knew about this anomaly. We were sent to investigate it, but never planned to go inside, and yet we ended up here anyway. Which means one thing, someone on the outside knows this place exists. This location is completely new. I haven't seen it in any other mod, and I've played quite a few, let alone in the original game. It's compact, so you won't get lost, but there are a few spots hidden from prying eyes. And since it's packed with events, it ends up being one of the most memorable places in the Stalker universe. Now at this point we already have a technician that also works as a part-time merchant. He only buys guns, not supplies. Don't waste money on repairing any guns you found, cause literally the next quest will be about getting your gear back, and it's insanely good and in tip-top condition. You can, however, invest some funds into fixing your armor. After selling all the excess stuff, we report to Savage. As soon as we bring up the topic of how did the zombies end up here, a controller appears out of nowhere and renders helpless everyone except us. Savage finds that surprising, but we tell him we've already been under the influence of a controller once, but were saved, so he's just glad that we've managed to resist it this time. He adds that we look like absolute garbage and should take a nap while he and Velez dispose of the controller's body. But next morning we don't get much time to screw around, because there's a helicopter that has decided that this place is as good as any for a crash landing. It doesn't get more interesting than that, so we haul ass there and find a wounded pilot. We patch him up and escort him to our makeshift base. After reporting about the soldier to Savage, it's finally time to meet everyone else on the base. We've got a Jutier, a guy from Freedom, a hunter, and all the rest are stalkers. Apart from the newly arrived soldier, of course. At this point, it's a good idea to talk to everyone and get quests from everybody. The best starting point is to get your equipment back. It's really good stuff and it will carry you to the end of this chapter. The next quest you should finish is the one that Snake gives you, cause after completing it, he will be able to replenish your water supply. After that, you're free to do whatever you want. Most of the quests are supply related anyway, making you really buy into how dire your situation is. You basically have a lack of everything, from drinking water to ammo, and your base has free entrances, so anyone can just waltz right into it and claim squatters' rights. Even the bolts are finite, but it's no big deal because they weigh very little, and you can pick up the ones you threw onto the ground. On top of that, the location is tiny, so there are very few anomalies. You also don't need to rush anywhere, and if you walk instead of running, you'll be able to react to your anomaly detector's beeping before stepping right into the anomaly. And if you do step into one, more often than not, you'll be able to run out of it. There is a cooking mechanic specific to this location, but honestly, I finished this chapter without ever needing to eat local wildlife. Despite the resources being scarce as the plot goes, for you as the player it won't be an issue. This is a story-driven mod, not some painful survival torment fest. One important thing you'll want to know is that your current armor will stay with you for the most part of the mod, and there's very little fire anomalies throughout the game, so upgrade your chemical protection, not thermal. It's a lot of new information, I know, so let's take a break and enjoy the most Slavic quest, drinking vodka with a ghost. Do save the game before doing it, because it's actually the moment before the first boss fight, which is a bit cheap and can get you stuck. You'll even have a discussion about how difficult this boss is in the dialogue after completing this quest. So why is this boss difficult? Well, the guy is wearing an exoskeleton and has a machine gun. You're wearing a morgue suit and have an AK. And the guns in this mod are much stronger than in the original. There's also no difficulty setting, so we can't lower it and then switch back. We also have nowhere to hide, since we're stuck in a narrow tunnel. Despite all that, this boss is actually easy if you do it right. Slowly move forward toward the far end of the tunnel. As soon as the PDA beeps, run back to the ladder and climb out. That's it. The enemy fires in short bursts with consistent intervals, so lean out, shoot between his bursts and repeat. Takes about a minute. Oh, before I forget, you might have missed this in the original game, because there are no tips about it. You can switch firing modes on some weapons. By default, it's done with 0 and 9 on your keyboard, but that's too far to reach, so I usually reassign it to C. Some guns have 2 firing modes, full auto and single shot, while others also have burst fire. One thing I really like is that you don't need to run around begging for quests. Whenever there's a new mission available, you'll either get a message on your PDA.
Эй, наемник, вижу, тебя уже выпустили. Зайди ко мне, поговорить нужно. Срочно.
Or hear about it in dialogue. And it works like that throughout the whole game, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions. At some point, you'll get a quest to find a battery and 2 rolls of copper wire. While the wire can be found, the battery will be given to you during a quest. So don't waste time running around like crazy trying to find it. The same applies to a decoder. You don't need to search for it. It's located in a special area that only becomes accessible during a specific quest. There seems to be a small bug, nothing game-breaking though. When you're supposed to go with Snake to hunt some flashes, if you've already given him the water canteen, he won't go hunting until he's finished purifying the water. Maybe you can just wait it out and continue normally, but in my case I was irradiated, so couldn't go to sleep and decided to take a walk instead. So I casually went to a spot where boars and flashes usually hang out and just started blasting. Once they were down, the quest was marked as completed. When I got back to Snake, he gave me the water, but still wanted to go hunting. Well, I'm not poking my nose into anyone's business as long as my game isn't broken. If he wants to hunt boars that aren't there, let him have his fun. So if this happens to you, nothing to worry about. It's just a bit of a narrative mismatch, nothing more. You might get stuck on a quest, but it's not due to a bug, it's actually a mechanic that's new and only used once. You'll get a PDA with 3 entries, and when you click them, it looks like the file is corrupted. The thing is, there are several tabs at the top of the screen, and by default, the Documents tab is open. But if you start switching through the other tabs, you'll find entries that are neither corrupted nor encrypted. You'll need those to progress further, and there's also a pretty unexpected plot twist tied to it. After finishing chapter 1, we get another campfire point of view cutscene, where our hero fills us in on the basics of this new part of the story. We've been assigned as the temporary leader of a mercenary detachment sent to Kardon by Jackal. A mercenary leader from Call of Pripyat. Another merc called Obscurant isn't too happy about it, because he wanted the position himself. Because of that, he starts planning his revenge on us. These events take place 3 months before we got trapped in the Spatial Anomaly. Our detachment has set up camp at the vehicle station on Kardon. We talk to Raven, our second in command, who tells us that Obscurant wasn't the only one against us taking command. He also mentions that the locals aren't too happy about our presence, and so far we're only accepted in the rookie village. Right as he finishes, a group of stalkers approaches, so we go meet them. These guys have serious main character syndrome. They ask what we're doing on Kardon, and after our refusal to answer, they start threatening us. And there's only 3 of them, and none have any good armor on. What a fucking bunch of idiots. Now, in this chapter, we have access to a guy who can get you special gear, armor, weapons, even an exoskeleton. But I would advise against getting one. It takes time to grind money, the chapter isn't that long, and none of this gear carries over, because you'll be sent back to a Spatial Anomaly, which is in the future. There are also no serious threats here that would justify using one. That said, you don't have to be a cheapskate either. Get second best armor, or fully upgrade your current gear. Pick up a better weapon if you want. I finished this chapter with fully upgraded armor, a solid upgraded weapon, and still had 45k left. In this chapter, you'll run into quite a few familiar faces: Sidorovich, Wolf, Father Valerian, Major Khaletskiy, and I'm probably forgetting someone. There are also a lot of quests here, and they actually feel meaningful. Not the usual go fetch me a stick type of stuff. They also pay surprisingly well. The highest reward is around 33,500 rubles. The economy here is pretty well balanced if you play it right. Knives are actually the best item to sell. Even damaged ones are worth repairing. Repairs usually cost no more than 300 rubles, and you can sell them for 1,000. Pistols, on the other hand, aren't worth it. You're better off unloading them and dropping them. The profit is tiny, just tens of rubles. Assault rifles are even worse. Repairs often cost more than the weapon itself. One counterintuitive thing: sell artifacts to the bartender. He pays more. There aren't many artifacts here, but refilling your water canteen costs 1,000, so every bit helps. Back in chapter 1, a guy named Knucklehead recognized us, said we help him hunt a side dog. Here we actually get to play that quest and meet him again. By the way, one of the toolkits is in a trolley near Rookie Village. Once you take it, nearby stalkers will turn hostile. It's unavoidable, so just deal with them. It won't make other stalkers hostile. Now, if you want to stock up on supplies without paying for them, you can visit the military checkpoint, but approach it from the left side. If you go through the main entrance or the right field, the machine gunner will open fire and he'll kill you in seconds. From the left side though, you can just walk in freely. The base itself is slightly expanded compared to the original, with a vehicle parking area. I'd still recommend avoiding combat with the military. You'll have quests involving them, and you might break something. If you really want to mess around, do it at the end of the chapter. Honestly, all of this is optional. The gear you find naturally is more than enough. Same with ammo and supplies. You don't need to grind or scavenge. Quest rewards will cover everything. If you do want to explore more though, the side content is actually worth it. Stalkers tell completely new stories. Go back to your base at the vehicle station, sit by the campfire and talk to the guys. They've got a few good ones. Then head to Bar 92 in the Rookie Village, grab some vodka and talk to the storyteller. That guy has a lot of stories. Took me about 33 minutes to go through all of them. Fun little detail: go to Sidorovich, check his inventory, save, then load game. His stock might change. On the second floor of your base there's Vulture. You can give him money to recruit extra guards for base security. I honestly have no idea what it actually does. I hired as many as I could, and the only difference was more guys standing around. Maybe someone might attack if your defenses are weak, maybe it's there purely for the vibe. Still, feels good being in charge for a change.
King in the castle, king in the castle. Oh, go do this, king in the castle.
A new chapter means another sit down by the campfire, where our hero tells us he was sent to kill an ex-mercenary called Vector, a man who refused to carry out Jackal's personal order. He had been tracking Vector for months, but at the most crucial moment of the hunt, he got pulled into the Spatial Anomaly. This chapter is a direct continuation of chapter 1, so I won't say much here to avoid spoilers. One thing you should know though, before finishing the chapter, take as much valuable stuff with you as you can. It'll let you make some quick cash. You'll know when the chapter is about to end, the game tells you directly. Just don't grab everything blindly. Rifles in poor condition aren't worth it, repairing them costs more than they're worth. Stick to ammo, supplies, knives and weapons in good condition. You can also strip scopes and silencers off certain guns, which is always a nice bonus. Now about this chapter. The location is different. But did you actually escape the Spatial Anomaly? Or is this another flashback, a dream sequence? Or maybe you're even playing as someone else. You'll have to find that out on your own. This is yet another brand new location, not just absent from the original game, but from other mods as well. By the way, if you decide to scavenge, visit the local doctor and buy a Hercules. And keep doing that every time you return to base. It increases your carry weight by 20 kilograms for 5 minutes, while weighing only 10 grams itself. If you're a shotgun kind of person, go talk to the drunkard here. He'll give you a super easy quest and reward you with the second best shotgun in the game. Even though you'll get an even better one later, it's still worth upgrading this one. Money isn't really an issue in this chapter, and since it's packed with mutants, a good shotgun is usually your best friend here. Next, Talk to the technician in this sad excuse for a garage. He'll give you a collectibles quest. It's worth completing because afterward he offers a 40% discount on all repairs and upgrades, plus 1000 rubles for each figurine. So either explore and find them yourself or check out the video I've linked in the description and just visit the necessary spots. With Rasputin the bartender, there's a dialogue line. I've got a few things of interest. You buying? That's just about quest items. No need to go searching for some sacred ancient arcane artifact. It's literally just one guy's PDA. If you decide to take part in the bandit's favorite sport, shooting birds, use a shotgun. The pellets travel faster, making it easier to hit moving targets. Save beforehand though. From what I understood, you can actually run out of birds, so if you're aiming for a high score, you might end up with nothing left to shoot. For some reason, you cannot climb most of the ladders. You can climb here though, and it gives you a pretty nice vantage point. One thing I really want to emphasize, this game leans heavily into mysticism. If at some point things feel a bit off, or like everything is going a little too smoothly, there's a reason for that. The game has two endings, and one of them suggests that some of what you experience might not have even happened. Now, when you get the quest to go to the X7 laboratory, you should first talk to Saurel. That's how you unlock the first ending, which ends the game right there. Of course, make a save before doing that. Afterward, you'll want to reload and actually go to X7, cause you'll get to shoot some motherfuckers, meet a few familiar faces, and see what happened to them. On top of unlocking the second ending. No campfire monologue this time. We just open the hatch into the underground and immediately run into a group of mercs. This part can be a bit cheesy, because as soon as the dialogue ends, the three of them can gun you down in seconds. The trick is to barely peek out of cover and wait a few seconds for a dialogue to trigger. That way, when it ends, you're already close to cover and can deal with them without getting instantly deleted. This is the final chapter, and there are no merchants here. However, there are plenty of supplies and the enemies aren't exactly John Rambo. By this point, you'll most likely have top-notch gear anyway. From here on, it's a straight push through the lab, going deeper and deeper until you reach the end. Along the way, you'll run into some familiar faces. What you looking at the screen for? You thought I'd actually show them? Get out of here. Spoilers are for the next video, which isn't even out yet. And that's it. That's the game. It'll probably leave you with a few unanswered questions. But a sequel is already in the works, so it's not the end of the road. The first time I finished it, I felt a bit empty. But back then, there was no news about the sequel, and that changes things. The ending is pretty good for a cliffhanger, both endings actually. And even if it feels a bit lackluster to you, think about it this way. How many hours did you spend playing through this campaign? And how long will that frustration actually last? And that's if you feel any. Chances are, the ending will make you stop and think rather than disappoint you. For me personally, it works really well for a story this mystical. By the way, the main menu music is super duper dope. But since I don't need no copyright claims on this video, I've left a link in the description. Now for the installation instructions. Let's start with the standalone version. It's super simple. First, follow the link in the description, then press on download is the green button, press on a uTorrent button, run the setup.exe, press on the next, click browse and choose a drive that doesn't contain Windows. Press next again. You can install a Field of View 75 page if you want, I didn't. Press install. Vibe to the music while it installs, or go make yourself a cup of tea. Near the end, it may ask to install DirectX and Visual C++. Press yes. Then press next. Accept the license agreement and hit install. Final button, finish. All that's left is to set the game to English. Follow the link in the description. Click Download English page for Spatial Anomaly Update 4.1. Press Download Now. Extract the files. It'll be a single folder called Game Data, cut that folder, find the Stalker PA icon, right-click it, Properties, open file location. Paste the Game Data folder into the game's main directory and replace files when prompted. Launch the game and enjoy. Steam installation has some extra steps, but it's also super easy.
Barely an inconvenience.
Delete any previous mods you had, if any. Install Call of Pripyat via Steam, right-click it, Properties. Make sure the language is set to English. Follow the link in the description. Press on Download Spatial Anomaly Update 4.1 Russian version. Click on Download Now. Extract the archive. You'll see 2 folders, Game Data and Bin, and 2 files, stalker_cop.ico and stalker-cop.exe. Cut them. Go back to Steam, find Call of Pripyat, right-click, manage, browse local files, paste the mod files into the main directory and replace files when prompted. Now let's Englishise the game. Open the link in the description, press on Download English patch for Spatial Anomaly Update 4.1, click on Download Now, extract it, there will be one folder called Game Data. Cut it. Paste the Game Data folder into the game's main directory and replace files when prompted. Launch and enjoy. Oh yeah, before I forget, save file location. Go to the game's main folder, open _user data, and inside you'll find saved games, logs and screenshots. Make backups. You probably won't need them, but if you do, you'll be very glad you made them, even though you won't need them. Let's make a deal. If you don't back them up, you'll be flying like this booter here. And if you'd rather follow written steps, everything I just covered will also be in the description. All that's left to say, do yourself a favor and just play this mod. Feel free to share your thoughts on the mod, on this review, on Stalker in general, or tell me about other great story mods, especially the ones I didn't mention here. Anyway, good hunting, Stalker.